guys, it's Aoife from Words of Clover, and I'm here to do my disappointing books of the year. I don't have too many to talk about because I kind of looked at the books that I really hoped like would give me more, so disappointing more than just like bad books. I definitely read some bad books in 2021, but these are the ones that disappointed me, that I expected more from. So the first book I want to talk about is The Road Trip by Beth O'Leary. I just don't think I get on with Beth O'Leary's writing. I have read The Flat Chair and I liked it, but I didn't love it. I still need to read The Switch, and then I went into The Road Trip really hoping that I would love it, and I really just didn't get on with it at all. I actually thought it was kind of boring. We're following two characters who end up having to travel to a wedding together in this tiny little car when they once dated. So things are kind of awkward between them, and we're getting a past and present storyline. So the present is them traveling to this wedding, and then the past storyline is how they met and then their relationship to their eventual breakup, and we're kind of figuring out why there are like such kind of feelings between the two of them, and if they are actually, you know, like over each other. Like, do they hate each other or do they still secretly love each other? We're kind of figuring all that out during this whole story. So I just found myself kind of like bored by the story. I kind of didn't really care about the relationship. I thought like there was certain characters who, like in the story as well, that were doing really, really terrible things, and the main character, like especially the main male character, I found him a little bit of a pathetic character. I just didn't really like him. He was kind of almost, in a way, living off his family's money, and I feel like you just can't really respect someone like that who like doesn't even know how to work a day in their lives, while like his girlfriend is out like working as a teacher, you know, like, which is a really, really hard job. And yeah, he just kind of annoyed me, and I just didn't understand why she liked him so much, and like why she was willing to put so much time into him when he was just such a tosser, really, and like his friends were tossers. And yeah, he was just such a waste of time. Leary does have quite a humorous tone in her stories. She's able to like deliver some lines that are real laugh out loud funny. One of the best bits about this book for me was a random stranger who was travelling to the wedding with them. They didn't really know him very well, but now and again he would just come out with these one-liners that were just really, really funny, and I just really loved that. So yeah, he was kind of like the saving grace of this book for me. But overall, this book just ended up being really disappointing because it just didn't give me any of the feelings that I wanted to get from it. And as I said, I just maybe think that Beth O'Leary's writing isn't for me. The book that really disappointed me this year is one that a lot of people have really, really loved, and that's These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This is a Romeo and Juliet retelling set in historical Shanghai, which in itself is so interesting. And one of the best bits about this book for me was the city of Shanghai, was learning this history, especially this like colonization history within Shanghai. This is kind of similar in a little bit to The Road Trip, where some of the side characters outshone the main characters for me. So Juliet and Roma, who are the main characters, who are Juliet and Romeo characters in this, I just kind of found them annoying. I didn't really get on with them, but all the side characters, Juliet's side and on Roma's side, I really, really loved, and I wanted more and more of them. I prefer scenes with just them rather than scenes with Juliet and Roma. I found the romance between Juliet and Roma as well, I just didn't really care for it, and yeah, it just was one that just didn't click with me for whatever reason. I talked about it briefly in my best books of the year, but one of the books that I really, really didn't like this year, but actually I did like it up until the very, very end, and that was Skin Privilege by Karin. This is the last book in the Grand County series. And in this book we are following two characters who we followed for like the whole of the season. The county coroner / local doctor Sarah, and then her husband, ex-husband, their kind of on-off relationship throughout the whole series, who is the chief of police, and his name is Jeffrey. All the crimes in this are fairly serious, and they're always like very, very gruesome and very descriptive and very, very violent, and these books are never for the faint-hearted. And the main storyline in this one I did enjoy, and I thought was really, I did enjoy. I thought it was really gripping. As always, I think all of the storylines are really, really gripping. I really liked how Sarah and Jeffrey's relationship developed like throughout the series, but in this book in particular they were in a really, really, really good place in this book. There is a side character called Lena who basically just ruins everything for everyone all the time, and I just hate her as a character, and she basically manages to ruin everything again in this book. And then something happens at the very, very end of this book that just like Like, it actually, like, I was reading it on my phone, and if I did have a physical copy of the book, I would have thrown it across the room, because it just broke my heart into a million pieces, and I just could not believe that Karin Slaughter had gone there. And yeah, I'm still in shock over it. Like, when I think about it, I'm still in shock. But I just felt like it was so emotionally manipulative, like, of Karin Slaughter to do this, and to do this at the very, very end of a series where we had been following characters and we'd become really emotionally invested with them, and then on the last page of this book, she did something, and I was like, you can't do that. Like, that's illegal. Like, you can't do that. So because of that, it's on my most disappointing books of the year, because I just couldn't believe that she did it, and I thought I had lost faith in her, and then I did read the first book in the Will Trent series, and my fate was kind of renewed, but also I don't trust her. Like, I don't trust her. So I go into all of her books now with a real kind of, you know, caution tape, because I don't trust her anymore after the Grand County series and what she did to me. So yeah. The next book that was on my disappointing list is The Last. I think it was by Hanna James. And this is a book that is like post-apocalyptic, and we are following a group of people who are in this hotel in Switzerland when basically the end of the world happens, and they don't know, like, all like television, internet, everything is gone, and they're like in this kind of remote hotel in the middle of like the woods, basically, on the side of a mountain, and it's like a good bit of distance into like the next town, and they're kind of just staying put because they're like, well, we have food, we have like resources here, and we are following everything through the diary entries of this male character, this one character who we are following. He was there for a conference, and we are following him kind of through diary entries. He's letting he's kind of updating about what's happening, how many days it's been since the end of the world, like how their resources are, how they're surviving, and they end up finding the body of a little girl on the top of the hotel, and they realise this little girl died like before everything, like maybe like the day of the end of the world. Like, it seems to have been murder, and they start investigating to see like what happened to this girl. Is her killer possibly still in the hotel? And we're following this kind of murder investigation within this like post-apocalyptic survival story. And the first half of this I did really enjoy, and I was really into it, and I was really interested to see where the story would go. And then the second half just went kind of batshit crazy a little bit. Like, it just went really all over the place, and the very end of the book I was like, this is so stupid. Like, this was just such a waste of time. Yeah, I just really expected more from it for some reason, and it just really let me down. And then the last book I want to talk about is a historical fiction book, and that was Mary Toft, or The Rabbit Queen. This is a historical fiction that's actually centered around a story that really happened, about a woman who managed to like pretend to doctors that she was giving birth to rabbits, and like people were like, this is a medical like marvel. This woman is giving birth to dead rabbits, not ever thinking that maybe she was just shoving these dead rabbits up herself, you know, which was obviously always going to be the answer. But we were following a doctor and his assistant. We're mostly getting the story through the young assistant's point of view, as they first come across this woman and be like, this is a medical marvel. This is, you know, is it a curse? Is it a God's blessing? Who knows what it is? But we have to get other people in to see this woman giving birth to rabbits. Always dead, mutilated rabbits. And yeah, this just wasn't really that good. And there was also a scene in it of really horrible, not related to rabbits, I would like to add. There was a scene in it of just disgusting animal cruelty that I just don't think needed to be there. Really horrific scene of animal cruelty that just put a really bad taste in my mouth and really just dropped this book like way down. I think it went from like a 3 stars to a 2 stars. And I just really didn't like it. So yeah, this book, it also ended up just being kind of like a little bit of a boring book. I don't think it did anything spectacular. I think the story of Mary Toft itself is quite interesting, but there was nothing amazing about this book for me in any terms. It for my disappointing books. Luckily I didn't have too many this year, and hopefully like we can continue that streak next year, and next year or this year. Hopefully we didn't have too many last year and we can continue that this year. So yeah, I would love to know what books disappointed you this year. Were the books that you thought were going to be really, really good? Are there hyped books that you thought were going to be really, really good and then just let you down, you just didn't get on with? I would love to know. I love people's unpopular opinions. I always love like negative reviews of really hyped books because they kind of make me want to read them more. So I would love to know what books disappointed you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.